we fear the most. We can only hope that someone will be there to help. For Kathleen, a 28-year-old real estate agent, that moment came on May 17th, 1990, at her home in Menlo Park, California.
Apparently, the suspect in this case had been stalking this young woman for up to 8 years. She and the man met in high school. They were classmates. They were never really friends or even acquaintances. Stalking, sometimes it's to harm the person, sometimes it may be just because they're infatuated with the person. It's really a scary crime because we often don't know the motive.
At 4:57 p.m., a call came in to Menlo Park Police Dispatcher Terry Rutledge.
911 emergency?
Yes, this is Good City. My daughter, Kathleen, is at Fort. I think Larry, who has been harassing her, is in the house.
Why do you think he's there?
My wife just talked with her.
And she said that he was there?
She got that impression. I'm not really sure. I wasn't on the phone.
Is she home alone?
I believe she is, yes. Your people patrol there all the time. They're very aware of this.
Okay, we'll be right there.
Thank you very much.
Done to welfare check suspicious circumstances.
19.
All units in the area were immediately dispatched to the scene. Among those who responded was Terry's husband, Officer Lance Rutledge.
Inside the residence.
When we received the call, we knew that this was a potentially dangerous situation. I rolled that direction immediately, hell-bent for leather. I wanted to get there as quickly as possible.
Kathleen's father also rushed toward her house, worried about what the stalker might do this time.
I do remember just being almost paralyzed with fear. You get that taste in your mouth and that feeling of just utter helplessness. I was hoping, first of all, that there was some mistake, but probably you could say I was hoping for the best, but certainly fearing the worst.
Next, concerned about what might happen before officers could get to the scene, Terry called the house.
Whatever your part of that, confirm you're supposed to be in the house with the ex?
Father believes so. I'm trying to confirm that. Hi, this is Terry calling from the police department. Is he in the house with you? Does he have any weapons?
Yes.
What does he have? Is it a gun? A knife?
Yeah.
Okay. Is he in the very same room with you?
Over here, trying to get up there.
Is it possible for you to pretend like I'm someone else and stay on the phone with me?
Yeah, okay.
Okay? So how are things going?
Oh, pretty good. I don't know. You know, this house that I was thinking of showing you tomorrow, I don't know if it's right. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and it's about $350,000, but the lot's kind of small, so I don't know. What do you think?
And I was impressed that I don't think he could have possibly had an inkling of an idea that she was talking to the police department.
They're in the area. I'll let you know as soon as they get there.
Okay.
Okay?
I don't know. I mean, it's up to you if you want to see it maybe tomorrow.
10-4. What time do you want to do that?
Oh, probably. Well, what's yours? I don't have my appointment book with me.
Okay.
Well, how about if I call you back?
You sure you want to hang up?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, I have officers in the area, but they're not quite to your door yet.
Okay.
Okay, call me on 911, all right?
I remember at the end of the phone call just not wanting to let her go. I was so worried that something would happen to her. I felt like I was losing the only contact that we had to knowing whether she was okay and what was going on in the house. And it was hard to just let it go and wait.
Shortly after Terry hung up, Officer Jim Simpson got to the scene.
We already knew he was armed with a knife. You don't know how volatile he's going to be. There's the possibility that he could have been armed with other weapons. So with that in mind, I approached the house from a silent approach so as not to alert anybody there as to my presence. Within moments, the house was surrounded.
All areas that could be covered were covered.
As soon as Police Chief Bruce Cumming arrived, he took command of the scene.
The information that we had at that time was that the man was inside the house, and so was the victim, and they had not come out of the house yet, so we had a short time to begin to plan what we were going to do.
Somebody's coming here.
Oh, it's the father. Why don't you go talk to him?
Okay. The first officer I encountered said, yes, your daughter is inside, the intruder is in there with her, and he's got a knife. You hear that, and you just become almost frozen with fear.
We have officers all the way around the house, and we're going to find a way to get out of there.
I couldn't see into the house. I had absolutely no idea what he was doing in that house with her. As far as I know, he could have been killing her right then, or he could have been sexually assaulting her, or any number of things.
Finally, I don't remember how long it was, probably an hour, an officer notified us via the radio that they were coming out.
Come here. Stay here.
Freeze! Police! Get your hands up! Kathy, over here, run! Get your hands up! Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Freeze! Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Drop the gun!
The next thing I saw was my daughter rounding the fence and running toward me. We just grabbed each other, and the relief was just indescribable.
To run around the corner and see my father waiting there was great. And, you know, I felt safe, but at the same time saw how upset he was. And, you know, I felt more upset for him than me.
No, we're not. He acted despondent, irrational, finally pointed the gun to himself and said, hey, go ahead and shoot me. I've lost everything I ever wanted. Go ahead and kill me.
Don't do that to yourself!
You don't rush an armed man with a gun. What our training tells us is that you talk to him, talk to him, talk to him. That's the safest way to do it. Time's on our side, basically. We just wanted to wait him out.
The standoff continued late into the night. Just before daybreak, members of the SWAT team were sent inside the house, led by Deputy Sheriff Warren Vanderside.
The negotiators told us over the radio that the suspect wanted to come into the garage. They told him that they couldn't allow him to come in there with his gun. He'd have to put his gun down.
Put it on the ground in front of the car. You're not gonna hurt me? Not gonna hurt you. Put the gun down. Just put the gun on the ground.
After 12 hours, the ordeal had finally ended.
Okay, okay. Give me his hand.
When this whole thing was over, I felt a great sense of relief. I felt a great sense of accomplishment. But the story's not over. The story continues.
There is a good chance that he will try it again if he's been this obsessed in the past, that when he gets out of jail in 6 or 7 years, that he may try and find her again, and that's very frightening.
I don't believe the situation has been fixed. I don't think he's been fixed. He's going to come back. I feel he's going to come back. What's going to happen then? What are we going to have to do with him that time?
It's been a year since the incident.
And Ed's going back to...
Kathleen has gotten married and tried to go on with her life, but it hasn't been easy.
I just am not the same person that I was before 1982. I look over my shoulder everywhere I go. I anticipate his arrival. I feel like a prisoner in my own home. Talking about the stalking bill, helping it get into law, helps me cope.
The man who stalked Kathleen pleaded guilty to 4 charges, but was sentenced to only 8 years and 8 months in prison. Kathleen is now working with a California state senator to get laws passed across the country that would upgrade stalking to a felony.
It was a very, very difficult thing to do, but it was a choice that I had to make because I want this person put away for as long as possible. This man is ruining my life, and I want him out of it.
Kathleen's husband, Greg, is grateful to all those who answered her father's call for help that day.
I'm glad that the Menlo Park Police Department was on top of things and was able to cut this off, because it was, you know, she was ready to get in the car and he was ready to take her away, and who knows what would have happened after that. And I don't even like to think about that. They probably saved my wife's life. So I'm very thankful every time I see her.
I'm trying to live my life normally. I don't want to move. I don't want to change my identity. That's not right. I have a whole new outlook on life, not a negative one. I have a very positive one. I mean, I know that my life will never be the same, but I know I'm going to be just fine. I think I know now more than ever that I'm going to be just fine.
On the afternoon of October 30th, 1991 in Fresno, California, Carol Arzotti had to go pick up her young daughter from the babysitter. Her 12-year-old son, Aaron, was left home alone for no more than an hour.
Aaron had a firecracker in his room. The kid at school walked up to him and said, "Hey, Aaron, here," and gave it to him.
For help came into 911 at 4:32 p.m.
Yeah. And you're hurt?
Yeah.
What happened?
I did an M80 in the house and it blew my hand off.
Okay. Stay right there.
Okay.
Just cover it up. Stop the bleeding, okay?
Okay.
Stay on the line. Hold on.
Yeah.
The call was routed to an EMS dispatcher specially trained to administer medical aid over the phone, Franz Melcher.
Ambulance dispatch.
Rescue units with the Fresno Fire and Police Departments and an ambulance from a nearby hospital were immediately sent to the scene.
Are you sitting down?
Yes.
Okay, what you need to do is you need to get a clean, dry cloth.
Yeah.
And put it right on the end. Is it completely off?
The main thing I needed to do was get the blood stopped.
Is it completely off?
Initially, he was real hard to get under control. I just wanted to keep talking to him and keep him calm.
Listen, the ambulance is already on the way.
Okay.
What is your name?
Ann Madrigal.
Ann?
Yeah.
He said Ann, and I didn't realize it was a boy.
Okay, listen, Ann, the paramedics are on the way.
I wanted to get his name so that I could develop a rapport with him, someone that he could trust.
Okay, how did this happen?
I was just messing around with the M80 and it blew my hand off.
Okay.
It's not off, but it's all mangled. It's in the inside of my hand. Help me.
When I found out it was an M80, I was really concerned because they are the equivalent to a fourth of a stick of dynamite.
It's bleeding.
Yes, I understand that.
If he was holding it in his hand at that age, his hand being so small, I really thought he'd lose his hand.
Take it, put the towel over it.
And I didn't want him to believe that because he would become completely hysterical.
Yeah.
Okay, raise it up so it's even with your shoulder.
Even with my shoulder.
And listen to me. It's going to hurt when you squeeze down, but you need to squeeze it down to stop the flow of blood, okay?
By covering his hand up with the towel also, he's not going to be able to see his hand. So it's going to take his mind off that and then just listen to me telling him what to do.
again?
I'm 12.
12 years old?
Yeah.
Okay.
In my shoulder, right? My hand is all bleeding and everything.
I understand that. Listen to me. And they're on their way as fast as possible. They can't get there any faster.
I'm gonna die.
You're not. And listen, it's your hand. That's probably not going to happen. Okay?
Do I lose my hand?
I don't know. I can't see it.
Okay.
I didn't want to promise him anything, that wouldn't come true.
Okay. And listen.
This is something a 12-year-old should not have to endure.
I heard this, oh! I thought, what was that? Thinking, oh, he was watching a movie.
Is anybody there with you by yourself?
No, my mom's just coming home.
Can you hold that for me? I remember hearing the sirens, but we're very close to the hospital. Sirens are a common occurrence. I didn't think twice.
What's going on? I don't know.
Okay, ma'am, just make sure that you don't lose a child. The paramedics will be there in just a few minutes.
You're here.
Once they arrived, I was totally confident that the child would be taken well care of.
When I looked at that hand, I did not see any fingers. I saw a stub. I saw a big, that's it.
Paramedic Kurt Kindig treated Aaron's hand at the scene.
We were trying not to get him to look at his hand when we were unwrapping it.
Aaron, can you wiggle your fingers? I'm sorry, Mom. It's okay.
I thought that he was going to be deformed or disabled for the rest of his life.
Mom, I blew my hand off. I will always remember that. It will never go away.
At St. Agnes Hospital, doctors, including plastic surgeon George Mowry, managed to save Aaron's hand. But he still faces months of painful physical therapy, and his hand will never be the same again.
Breathe, here. Bendy's, all of them.
Aaron's made dramatic strides, and that's largely due to his ability to tolerate the pain required for him to move his hand.
Okay.
I think that we're extremely lucky. He's going to have a shortened middle finger because the tip was blown away. And he'll have some diminished strength, but it could have blown his hand completely off. So I think he's very lucky.
In 1990, more than 12,000 people were treated for injuries involving fireworks. Nearly half were children under the age of 15.
When I was at the hospital, I just thought how stupid I was to fool around with one. I always thought, no, I'm never going to get my hand blown off the firecracker. I'm not that stupid. No, there's no way.
Ignorance is the worst part. I don't think I ever had any real anger towards him about it. I was angry at the situation. You know, it's like a gun. Let them know how dangerous they are somehow, some way. You know, get educated. I wasn't.